Okay, so welcome back. So in my previous video, I turned this bowl from some construction lot wood not very far from my house. This is maple. Got some interesting grain patterns in it. This video is going to be on drying. So there's a couple of things that you need to know about wood when you're thinking about drying wood. So let's talk about how wood dries and what you need to prevent when you're drying. Okay, so let's talk about wood grain. Now, there's two different types of wood grain in any offcut or any cut that you're going to have. There's side grain and then there's end grain, right? Now, if you think about wood, you can think about it like a bundle of straws or a bundle of bristles like in a broom. And the purpose of those fibers or those bundles is to take moisture and take it up to the tree, right? So it pulls the moisture out of the ground, goes up through the wood to the tree. Obviously, more in the sapwood than in the heartwood, but all of those fibers, they're all full of water. There's a couple of ways you can do this. Now, one thing I want to show you here is the way that wood dries. Now, if you look at the side grain here, it's a pretty continuous grain. If you think about this, like I said earlier, as a bundle of straws, these are the sides of the straws. So this stuff, it doesn't get affected much. But if you look at this end, you can see all of these different cracks. So what's going on here? Why does the end of a piece of wood crack when you cut it? So think about those straws, right? They're all full of water. Where is the water going to evaporate from first? It's going to evaporate from the end grain, the end of the bundle of straws. And when wood dries, and it dries at a different rate, that means the end of the wood is expanding, or in this case, contracting, because you're losing volume at a different rate than the rest of the log. Let's talk about freshly cut, freshly turned wood. And you can see this has already started to crack, right? There's a pretty sizable crack right here, right? Cracking is inevitable in bowl turning. What you don't want is the thing to crack in half. You'll see a bunch of different techniques out there. One technique is to take the shavings that come from rough turning your bowl. You can take those shavings and you can put them in a shopping bag, a paper bag, stick the bowl in there and set it aside for a year. Sticking them in those shavings allows it to limit the amount of moisture loss from the end grain, right? That allows that moisture loss to be limited, but it takes a year, year and a half, 2 years, right? I don't personally have that kind of patience. So there are a couple of other ways that you can do this. Now, the way that I do it primarily is with a microwave. All right, what you're looking at is my primary method for drying bowls. And I've dried probably 50 bowls this way. This is a microwave that I got off of the Facebook Marketplace. I happen to live in a college town, so I was able to get it from a student who was leaving off the Facebook Marketplace for 20 bucks. These things are brand new, are 50 bucks, so they're not terribly expensive. It's a pretty small one. It will hold, fairly sizable bowls. That's about a 10, 11 inch bowl. I dried that in there. Anything really big, I'm going to do in my oven, which I will go over that in a minute. But $20, you really want to have a dedicated microwave for this. So I started off doing this upstairs in the one that we nuke our food in. That lasted a very short time. You get a lot of stuff that comes out of the wood. You get a lot of stuff that is you know, oils and tannins, and really stains the inside of your microwave and will flavor your food. So you really don't want to do it in your regular microwave. The other thing is that it's absolutely possible to set a piece of wood on fire with this. Okay, so the primary thing you need in order to do this, other than the microwave, is a digital scale. Now you can use a moisture meter, and that's fine. I don't happen to own one. I've heard that the cheap ones are not terribly reliable. I have an $8 digital scale, pad of paper, and a $20 microwave. So this is how this works. I'm going to turn on the scale. And I generally set this, you can do this in whatever unit you want. You can do it in ounces, pounds, whatever. I tend to do it in grams, because in grams gives you a specific number and you don't have to do any translating in your head. You don't have to write down fractions. It's fairly simple. This particular bowl, and I have not microwaved this yet, weighs, hard to see there, but 1,794 grams. So I am simply going to write that down right here. And this is a hardwood, so this is maple. So I'm going to start this off at 3 minutes. So this is generally the way that I do this. Now this particular item here is made out of willow. Willow is a really, really soft wood. And if it's at all punky, or has been eaten by carpenter ants or termites or anything like that, you can get a really porous piece of wood. So when you're drying something like this, you have to take that into account. So anything that's like pine, poplar, willow, any kind of really soft wood, my recommendation is to start it at a minute less than you would anything else. This is the other way that you can do it. But if you look at my particular oven, right? My particular oven has this keep warm function. So if I touch keep warm, I can go down to 145 degrees. That is the lowest that this will go. And it will maintain that temperature forever. Most ovens will have that kind of a function. Now, the thing is, you can put larger pieces in this oven. I've put 14-inch bowls in here because they won't fit in the microwave. If you keep them in there for a couple of hours, do a couple of rounds of that, you'll generally get down to the weight you need. So, you have to pick which works best for you. This particular method works best for me. The goal is all to dry the bowls and have fun.